came from. You can find a transport list. You can remember them every year, or even every week. You can add a name, because in fact, Rabbi Friedland of blessed memory, who you mentioned earlier, I once asked him, how do you describe immortality? And Albert, as I called him, said, being remembered. We must remember the Jews of these lands. We must remember all the Jews that perished, not just as a digit of 6 million, but as individuals that actually read from these Torah when they were younger. So this is what our mission is. And I just want to finish by saying the one thing which I always end the talk. And I say, you know, the Torah is the one thing that binds all Jews together. Doesn't matter whether you believe you're Orthodox, you believe the Torah of Shemayim, that God gave it word for word to Moses on Mount Sinai, or you're progressive and possibly you believe that it was compiled many years later. The Torah binds all Jews together. But please remember, please remember, the Torah is revered in Christianity as the Pentateuch, and is also revered in Islam as the 5 books of Musa, Al-Tawrat. And particularly in the difficult times that we live today, when everything's polarized, everything gets forgotten, please remember that we in the Memorial Scrolls Trust, our mission is to help remind people of what we have in common rather than what divides us. Thank you very much. I must say that I come from the other side of the pond, so not only do I speak slightly different to you, I have trouble with some accents. So I have to introduce the Deputy Consul General of the Czech Republic. And if I get his name wrong, please forgive me. Harold Pajurek. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, shalom, ladies and gentlemen. My accent is even more apart from your one, so I'm really sorry. And I know there is a mic. I can speak louder, but this is maybe even better. I'm not such a good speaker. I can write, so I had some notes, and I will use my mobile, so give me like 10 seconds. In between, I can just shout and introduce myself a little bit. I served in. This is my 4th British colony I'm serving. I started in Bombay, then I went to Canberra.
We can't hear you. Use the mic.
Okay. I served in 4 British colonies, India, in Bombay, then in Australia and Canberra, where I was the ambassador and consul general in Mumbai. And then I was in Israel for 5 years, 2013 to 18, as a chargé d'affaires. And in America, I chose this country, this city. And obviously, if you are not a big politician, you are not ambassador. So I'm number 2 here. But I'm very happy because I can meet you here. And I'm really thrilled that we have such a great occasion with those Czech schools. And I'm really grateful to Memorial Trust that you remember actually all this Jewish memory from our countries. Thank you again, all of you here, for gathering here to honor the legacy left by our ancestors. The Torah scrolls, which are actually, according to my understanding, the contents of them is the foundation for our civilization, both Jewish and Christian. My country was one of the safest havens for the Jewish diaspora expelled from their original homeland and persecuted in various corners of the world. 3 important World Zionist Congresses took place in our area. In 1921, the Congress laid the foundations of the future Jewish state in Karlovy Vary. Then in 1923, also in Karlovy Vary, the Hebrew University in Jerusalem was established. And in 1933 in Prague, obviously the Congress agitated internationally against Nazi anti-Semitism in Germany, and also adopted Hatikva as its anthem. So these things happened in our area. And not only this, in 1927, our president, Tomáš Garrigue Masaryk, arrived in the Holy Land to visit the Yishuv, the Jews living in the land of Israel, and it was historically the first visit of any official head of state to Jewish representation in Israel, that time in mandatory Palestine. Number of important Jewish personalities are connected with my country, with Bohemia, Moravia, Silesia, we call it now Czechia. Just name a few of them. I need to start with Rabbi Yehuda Leib Betzalet, of course, with Mahara. Then U.S. Reform Rabbi Isaac Meyer Weiss was born there. Composers Gustav Mahler or Erich Kongo, who came from Brno, my hometown, and he became the Californian, and he earned his Oscar in 1930s. First Czech world champion, Wilhelm Steinitz, was born in Prague. Psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud, writers Franz Kafka, Franz Werfel, politician Madeleine Albright, you might remember her, right? Filmmakers like Miloš Forman or Tom Stoppard. Czechoslovakia helped save the state of Israel in the darkest hour of its war of independence in 1948 by supplying aircrafts and weapons and training pilots who volunteered. Actually, most of them were Czechs, Czech Jews, and some of them were my dear friends. I met them in Israel, so I'm really happy I met them. And I'm also proud of my grandfather Emmanuel, who organized the delivery of machine guns for the young state of Israel from the Zbrojovka Brno arms factory in 1948. He was very proud of it. Unlike 90% of the Jewish population of our country who perished in Nazi camps, as you mentioned, and ghettos like Theresienstadt, 1800 Torah scrolls, Czech Torah scrolls survived the Holocaust, and actually it was mentioned here that the communist regime not only helped the state of Israel in the very start, but they turned around, which was like situation predicted by George Orwell in his famous novel 1984, that actually history and the reading of the history and the sides keep changing, so they just turn around and actually started to be very anti-Israeli for decades after its initial support, and they even started to oppress Jews in the country. They forced them actually to change their name, to Slavonize the Jewish name, which was a really horrible thing. So after a century of freedom, the Jews were oppressed there, and the most synagogues were closed, as the one in Michele, which was really becoming dumb, and these scrolls were basically just stored there in very, very difficult conditions. But thanks to Mr. Jablon, who bought them 60 years ago, and thanks to Memorial Scroll Trust, who was founded 60 years ago. Actually, I was born 60 years ago, so we have even missing we have now these, that time, 1800 scrolls saved, sent to the UK, preserved, and now distributed around the world. And I understand that thanks to this temple, in this temple we can actually see the 3 Czech Torah scrolls, right? I mean, that are actually on permanent loan, which is something pretty unique, and I'm actually proud of it. Well, communist puppets directed by Russia ruled our country for 40 years. And thanks to one great Californian, you might remember the name, Ronald Reagan, they managed to overthrow them. Not having Reagan, it would not probably be happening in 1980, this big shift in Europe. So that was really grateful. My country has been free and democratic again for 34 years now, and hand by hand with it, we have been Israel's closest ally, really closest ally in Europe for the last 34 years. And Czech President Zeman, paraphrasing JFK's speech At the Berlin Wall, you might remember, ich bin ein Berliner, right? Kennedy said. So President Zeman was repeatedly proclaiming and saying, I'm a Yehudi, I'm a Jew. And he always meant it. And the overwhelming majority of our political representation, and more importantly, society, the Czech society, is the same. Well, when I look at these Torah scrolls, I'm really moved. I think of those who did not survive the Holocaust, those 80,000 Czech Jews and those 6 million Jews from all over the world. I think of my friends who actually survived it. I'm thinking of Dita Kraus, who, as a 14-year-old girl in Auschwitz, operated her library. Amazing thing. I'm thinking of Hugo Meisel Maro or Abraham Harshal. My friend's pilot who flew that time from Czechoslovakia to Tel Aviv in 1948 on Czech planes to save those war, which they did, and they still managed to bomb Cairo on the way. I think of the incredible number of Jewish Nobel Prize winners. After all, there are approximately as many Czechs as Jews in the world now. And we did win only twice. I don't know, 300 times every year. It's a long list, so wow. And of course, I think of the victims of Hamas terrorists last October in Gaza. Two of them are actually classmates of our daughter. So those murdered and those who were kidnapped to Gaza. At the same time, I think of the lyrics to a beautiful Czech Israeli tune. I'm sure you know it. Odlo, Arva, Ikvatein. Our hope is not yet lost. And I'm thinking for the concluding Passover Seder Zvish, Lashana Chava, Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem. For me, these two sentences sum up the unbreakable spirit of a nation that has drawn spiritual strength from these Torah scrolls, such you have a book called Iron. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention.
When I was a rabbinical student in Europe, we would joke that, yes, Torah came out from Jerusalem, of course, but through us, for people like us, Torah came out from other places. So we'll hear the words of Ki Mitzion, but they are going to be slightly different than you might be used to.
Ki Mitzion takes a Torah. Ki Mitzion takes a Torah. Udvar Adonai Mikihilotecha.
The Torah has truly come out of Czechia, or as I know it, Czechy, or as I know it, Česko, and has come here and to all the corners of the globe where the scrolls found their new kehilot, their new communities, their new home. The scrolls are not, however, the only influence of Czech Judaism on the Jewish world today. It so happens that the very synagogue that is the headquarters, the worldwide headquarters of the Memorial Scrolls Trust, Westminster Synagogue, has recently appointed their very first female rabbi, if I understand correctly, who also happens to be the very first Czech woman to become a rabbi, Rabbi Kamila Kopshilova, who had the honor to, well, we didn't overlap at rabbinical school, but we have the honor to be graduates of the same school, Leo Baeck College in London. Go Leo Baeck. Rabbi Kamila agreed to record a short message for us to celebrate this coming together of scrolls which form such a unique part of her heritage.
Hi, I'm Kamila Kopřivová, and I serve as a rabbi at the Westminster Synagogue in London, the home of Czech scrolls. And I also happen to be a Czech Jew. 60 years ago, the scrolls were bought and shipped to London because there were no Jewish communities in Czechoslovakia who had returned from the shore to claim the scrolls and put them back to their home synagogues. And almost 60 years later, now, I came to London, a Czech rabbi, a Czech female rabbi from Moravia. And in a way, I realized that my personal journey is connected to the scrolls much more than I thought, and I care about them deeply. This realization made me think of a seemingly simple question. The question, where is home? Is it the place where we were born? Or is it a town or region where we grew up and where we set out? Is it a place that we return to when we go back from work or from a holiday? Or is home an immovable object, a place, a concept, maybe an aspect or a quality of longing and belonging that we can take with us no matter where we go? And if we take this question even a bit closer to us, what can we say about the places that we call our Jewish homes? Many of us experience this. You can spot a Jewish home at the first glance. Not so much because of certain objects by the door, or on the walls, or on the shelves, but more by the lived values of genuine hospitality and openness. We even call our homes Mikdash Me'at, the miniature sanctuary, a small temple. Because home to us Jews is a place where we serve our Creator by being the best versions of ourselves. Our homes are built on love, compassion, kindness, hospitality, and chicken soup. I'm blessed that I can say this. The Westminster Synagogue community is such a place to me. The place and the community that took all those left behind, many damaged, some almost destroyed scrolls, and made a loving effort to return them to their purpose and their reason for being. They were handed back to life, to you, to Jewish communities around the world. Each of these scrolls has the power and the potential to teach us love, compassion, and gratitude. Each of these scrolls can turn each of us, those who care about them and for them, those who celebrate their bar and bat mitzvah ceremonies over them, and those who study and read them, into Jewish homemakers. Many of you have a piece of that Westminster Czech home at your spiritual homes. And together we create a home network, if you like, that spreads over continents. Let us continue as the global Czech Scrolls community to keep those scrolls alive and to live by the book, our Torah, by way of studying, by way of serving our Creator, by way of acts of loving kindness and welcoming strangers to our homes and embodying hospitality in our communities. Those scrolls on their journeys bring all of us together. May they continue to bring people together, closer to one another, and by doing so, may they bring all of us closer to the divine source of love.
I'm sure you're just as moved by Rabbi Kopřivova's words as I was when I heard them for the first time. Because they brought me back to the questions I asked myself in the summer of 2006. And the questions were as follows. Can I do more than just remember? What can I do to fill this empty space? I asked myself these questions leaving the synagogue of Pilzno, Europe's third largest. Pilsen was a stop on a backpacking trip around Czechia, which I took in the summer before my freshman year. The trip to Czechia wasn't difficult to organize. I grew up in southwestern Poland, 70 miles north of the Polish border. Czech Republic is what I learned to ski and cross-country ski. As a child, I spent probably good 4 months skiing and cross-country skiing in the Czech Republic. But this trip was different because it was further away from the wonderful mountains of Karkonosze. This trip, in every town I visited, I found a synagogue, usually without a functioning Jewish community. All of them were a testament to an enduring contribution of Jews to Czech and wider Central European culture. Their disuse for worship purposes pained me. I came back to my native Poland inspired to get more involved in Jewish religious life. Looking back, I realize that the seeds of my decision to become a rabbi were planted on this piazza in front of the synagogue in Pilsen, Czechia. Inspired by my visit to Czechia, I became an active participant of Jewish student life in Warsaw, Poland, where I did my undergrad. As you might recall, Warsaw was the site of the largest ghetto in Nazi-occupied Europe. It is also a common port of call for Jewish tourists visiting Nazi extermination camps located in Poland. For these reasons, as a college student in Warsaw, I met many North American and Israeli Jews visiting Poland. During these encounters, I was invariably asked one of the following questions. How come there are any Jews left in Poland? Why didn't your family leave? Poland must be a terribly hard place to be Jewish, right? Some of you might be asking yourselves, why did the rabbi recall these rather upsetting questions? And why is he talking about Poland? Shouldn't he be talking about Czech scrolls instead? Shouldn't he be talking about what they represent? To this, I can only respond. The questions I had been repeatedly asked when I lived in Warsaw, Poland, as a college student, are directly connected to the way in which we look at memorial scrolls, at Czech scrolls. Such disbelieving inquiries represent a lens through which the history and heritage of Jews in Central Europe was, and in many cases still is, viewed by many Jews in North America, Israel, Britain, and the rest of the English-speaking world, as Consul Pazurek would tell us, in the rest of former British colonies. It is a lens that zooms in so heavily on the demise of European Jews that the life they led becomes a mere prelude to it. This tendency is perhaps stronger among non-Orthodox diaspora Jews. It might be because our readiness to participate in and adapt to the life of a wider society in countries we call home often comes at a price of abandoning customs which once connected Ashkenazi diaspora Jews with Central and Eastern Europe. What is left is a handful of Yiddish phrases, a memory, and a handful of recipes passed down from generation to generation. These Vestiges of memory, precious as they are however not enough to paint a nuanced image of the lands where Ashkenazi Jewish culture was formed. As a result, Czechia, Slovakia, Germany, Poland, Austria, and the rest of Central and Eastern Europe become a canvas painted by us, the Jews who live here, with a mixture of pain and projection, animosity and nostalgia. The lack of immediate connection to Central Europe, combined with the painful memory of the Shoah, determines the way in which many in the Jewish world think about this part of the universe. For the longest time, American and other English-speaking Jews contrasted the Central European Jewish past with their current prosperity, compared discrimination experienced by their ancestors in the old country with the freedoms enjoyed by Jews in the US, Canada, Australia, Britain. In turn, Israelis saw Central and Eastern European Jewish history as a justification of their commitment to the Jewish state, to the strengthening and defending of the Jewish state. And rightly so. The history would have looked very different if the state of Israel existed in 1939. However, as we delve into history and remember the history, we cannot forget that in the last 30 years, Central Europe, including Czechia, Slovakia, and my native Poland, has been transformed. They are modern, robust economies, members of the EU and NATO, and allies of Israel. Their societies undergo a process of democratization and gradual opening to diversity. As a result, Jewish life has experienced a modest but enduring renewal in countries like Czechia or my native Poland. Rabbi Kopshivova and myself are a living proof that the influence of Central Europe on the Jewish universe hasn't come to an end with the Holocaust. Societal changes in Central Europe, including Czechia, have been a blessing to the Jewish material culture here. Synagogues and cemeteries, once neglected, vandalized, or even destroyed, are in most cases gradually preserved and renovated. This would not be possible without hundreds of Czechs, Slovaks, Poles, and other Central Europeans who see Jewish heritage as a part of their national heritage. As you have seen, the Deputy Consul General sees it exactly in this way. This heritage, the heritage of Czech Jews, is the heritage of Czechia. Why is it important? Well, it is important because October 7th and its aftermath has shaken the Jewish world. It has shattered Israeli belief that their state guarantees Israeli safety of Jewish life not found elsewhere. In the diaspora, including here, the US, we were suddenly confronted with unprecedented levels of anti-Semitism that we thought belonged to distant past. Many of us ask ourselves an unthinkable question. Maybe our reality is not as radically different from the life of our ancestors in the old country as we previously thought. Maybe the level of prejudice that we thought was confined to history books is also possible here. A terrible question, we don't speak it out loudly, but we think about it as we go to sleep. We think about it as we worry about the future of Jews in this country and elsewhere. Against this backdrop, we have a choice to make when we think about memorial scrolls? Will they prompt us to memorialize the demise of Czech Jews and the emigration of those who survived? Or will they teach us the story of resilience of Czech Jews, who for centuries read from them and studied from them in these countries, and as a result, thrived? Will they speak only of the past, or whisper about the hope for the future, enabled by our commitment to their history and the instruction they contain? The challenges in our life following October 7th reminded us that being Jewish is not easy, or for that matter, safe anywhere in the world. Fortunately, we were also able to witness wonderful examples of Jewish solidarity and resilience. Let us cultivate this solidarity and resilience. And what better way to do it than to recall the resilience, creativity, robustness, thriving of Czech Jews every time when we read from their scrolls, which are in our care. Let us turn every Torah service into a memorial scroll service. And if we do so, we will not only honor the glories of the past, we will also be empowered to build a better future. May this future come soon, and let us say, Amen. Our concluding prayer is Ledor Vedor, which tells us that from generation to generation, we are committed to preservation of Jewish heritage, that through our actions, this Jewish heritage, the Torah contained in our Torah scrolls, comes alive and influences our lives.
We are gifts and we are blessings. We are history in song. We are hope and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. We are words and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. Ledor Vador, Nagid Golaka. Ledor Vador, we protect this chain. From generation to generation, Ledor Vador, these lips will praise your name. Looking back on the journey that we carry in our hearts, from the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would part. We are blessed and we are holy. We are children of your way, and the words that bring us meaning, we will have the strength to say. Vador, Nagidon Lecha. Ledor Vador, we protect this chain from generation to generation. Ledor Vador, these lips will praise your name. Ledor Vador, these lips will praise your name.
Please rise as we honor the scrolls as they begin this journey to your communities. Please join us in the social call as we have the opportunity to admire our scrolls and get to know each other over refreshments. Thank you so much for coming.